Hi, I'm Tim and these are $120 and this is a 20mm f1.7 or roughly a lens you can buy for $120, but most people just take this money and burn it. But you don't have to. This is money you can actually save, and it all starts with Adobe pricing plans, specifically the ones catered towards photographers, which start at $10 a month or $120 each year. And of course it adds up if you're adding Photoshop as well. And this is money you can actually invest in a lens or two or other equipment that can help your photography. So why the hell should you waste it on Lightroom when most of us are doing it as a hobby? I know I am, and I would even argue that professionals don't need the entire power of Lightroom, and most alternatives out there today can actually compete with Lightroom. So I'm gonna offer you an alternative called Darktable, but I'm not just gonna throw the name at the table, pun not intended. I'm gonna actually edit a photo and take you through a quick start guide so you can start your way on Darktable because it's a really fun and really capable editing software. So we're gonna start with the photograph I took, I think 2 years ago, one of my most favorite photographs taken on the Canon 50, which I don't have already. This is a photo I've edited before and I want to re-edit it to see how much I've changed my outlook on life and photography in general, or how my skills improved since then. This shows a businesswoman or someone dressed as one because she's pretty fancy, crossing the street against a red light and diagonally, which really breaks the rules. It's kind of a contrast between the order of being a businesswoman and going against the rules, or maybe it's the same in one. But before we hop onto the computer to edit it and see how Darktable works, if you've enjoyed the video so far, give it a like because these were real dollars and I looked at the footage, I almost really burned them. So how you start with Darktable is you go to Lighttable, this is the opening one, and you add to library. So what I have here is folders. I have the 2023, this is my folder of photographs, and from here, re-editing old photos, and I can add all these images. As you see, they are already in the library, so I don't need them. So I'll just search for them here. Found it. So double click on an image, and we're taking to the editing. How Darktable works is you have these models here, and you basically activate each and every model. There are plenty of models here. I'll just explain a few, the basic ones I use, but you can really make this program yours. Before I start anything, I look at the Filmic RGB. This is sort of like, as you see, a Filmic RGB, and there's also an explanation. I usually add it because it just looks cool. But take note that it does add contrast, so it might complicate your edit. I love it on usually, that depends on you. So I usually start with exposure. In here, I can maybe just set the exposure up just a bit. There are much more sophisticated tools than that. The RGB levels actually lets you, there are a few bugs like you see. This histogram only appears after you drag it. But basically, when you drag from the left, you make everything darker. When you drag from the right, you make everything brighter. So in here, what I want to do is maybe make the mids just a bit higher. And if you want to reset, you can click here. I'm not sure I like it. I think I'll actually keep it like that. I love the contrast, maybe just a bit. There's also the shadow and highlights tool. I usually use the radius, and as you can see, the lighting actually changes. It's either not spread out at all or spreads around. I'm focusing mostly on her hair, so maybe if I spread it a bit more like this. Yeah. The next thing I use is the color zones, which in here there isn't a whole lot you can do. Maybe the reds can be redder. It's more orangey like that. And maybe I can make it more saturated. With reds, of course, take note that it affects skin tones or the red shirt of this guy. I'll probably crop it in a moment. I think this looks great. Maybe lightness a bit. All right, now let's look at her hair. Her hair is yellow, but I don't want it to be over yellow. So maybe just a bit. Her skin is kind of yellow as well, but it still kind of works well together. So maybe like that. Now as for the lightness, I usually drag it up and down to see the effect. I want the light to actually shine because it was a very, very harsh light back then. So this works. Then I'll go to cropping. Should have probably done it first, but okay. Let's see what fits. So if we're looking at the rule of thirds, if I place her here, it should be fine, but then I don't have the red light. So I can maybe place her here, but then I lose the shadow. So perhaps 5x4. And of course I can do it freehand because I already uploaded it. Although I can upload it again. I really love this long shadow, but I can't really include it. So I think I like this. And you can actually play with it. There are a lot of other things here. I'll also check the white balance. Do note that you have color calibration and white balance. And if you change the white balance here, it says that you're interfering with something, you see? So there are duplicates here. This is one of the downsides, but you just get used to it. So if you want to adjust color calibration, you can do the temperature here. So I don't want it to be too cold, but it was a bit of a sunny, harsh light day. And the last tool I use is the contrast. There are a lot of things here. I use the contrast, brightness, saturation, the classic one. And you can up the contrast or lower it. I don't want it to be too high. Hello? My wife and I ordered sushi. It's the National Sushi Day today, and they didn't have one of the mochi flavors that we usually order. So I take the contrast, and not sure I like it, you know? Maybe I do. Should probably play with the light just a bit. I actually don't like the sharpness here. Alright, now I don't like this. So what we can do is actually crop it even more. There is a tool for that, which I don't remember right now. But we're covering the basics, I don't want to alarm you. So if I crop it in like this, should be fine. There's the leading line and she's going against it. I like it. Once I've finished my photograph, I scroll down here and I can actually choose how I want to export it. So I want to put it on my store because it's one of my favorite photos. So I'll use TIFF, the highest, sorry, not TIFF, it doesn't accept it, PNG. And in here, you can actually choose where you want it. I will currently just select the desktop. And there are plenty of things here I usually ignore and click export. A quick tip I can also say is that if you go up, you can actually reset everything by clicking here. Or if you really like it, you can save it as a preset here. You can choose what you want, you can name it. In the other photo, you can actually click here and choose one of your presets. As you see here, I have a few, but these are temporary ones. So what do you think about Darktable or about the image? Let me know down below that like button. And if you want, I can create a quick startup guide PDF in my newsletter if enough people ask for it. I haven't covered everything, and this is a really robust program. There are a lot of things to learn here, so let me know if you want something like this even more. I've been Tim, and you can watch me here go on the streets of Tel Aviv with my GH5 having fun, and I'll see you next week. Bye!